Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those Tuesday Trophy Talks, Trophy Updates. Today's date is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, so this will cover the week of March the 25th through the 31st of 2025. Now, despite this going up probably pretty late on April 1st, this is not some kind of April Fool's Day type of prank or anything like that. This is just your average everyday trophy update, so let's go ahead and get around to it because there is actually quite a bit to talk about today. I'm also recording this a lot later than I had planned to because I had to work pretty late on Monday and Tuesday, been super busy, so yeah, that's the reason for that. Okay, so nothing in that game. So in this past week, I made progress on a grand total of 4 games. It should also be mentioned that, again, this is actually not an April Fool's Day thing. This is a legitimate thing that was very, very surprising. My Name is Mayo has been remade or remastered or something. It's not a port, obviously, but it's either been remade or remastered for the PS4 and PS5. So, I mean, the original one technically had a PS4 version, but either way, that came up out of absolutely nowhere, and I'm honestly kind of surprised they didn't just release it on April 1st. I mean, I feel like that would have been the more logical thing to do, but it's a legitimate thing. It's a real thing, so 100% we're going to have to play that at some point, maybe in the next week or so. Definitely something to play on stream because it's a legitimate classic. It's a certified meme. Anyways, in terms of actual trophy progress, the first game was LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, on the PS4. So within the past week, I earned a handful of trophies. We completed Episode 5 in story mode. In fact, I've completed, I think, the first 3 levels of Episode 6 as well in story mode. So getting close to being done with story mode again. Then I got a gold brick in challenge mode, so I've done basically everything. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I haven't done a lot of the extra stuff yet, just because it seems like once you maybe finish the story, I think you start getting something like 100,000 studs for every gold brick that you get, and if you just maximize that to do it later on in the playthrough, you should be able to make a lot more money that way, which should help a lot with some of the stud multipliers, because I do have the 2 times stud multiplier currently, but none of the others yet, obviously, because they're so expensive. Haven't done any super stories yet, and someone was mentioning that apparently for the super stories, you do still have to beat the best time for any of them, which is most easily done with episode 4, because you can do it in like 40 minutes if you know what you're doing. But supposedly for the gold brick, you don't actually have to get the 100,000 studs or the time. I don't know how true that is. Someone mentioned it, but I don't know if that's entirely true or not. But if that's true, then that really does remove, like, the only potentially difficult part of this platinum. So that's actually very interesting if that's actually true. But again, I don't know if that's true or not. Then the best time for any mini kit bonus, I did that. That was very easy. That's just, a mini kit level where you just fly around, collect 1,000,000 studs. Then have not done all the gold bricks for all areas of the LEGO City yet, obviously. I did purchase all the hints, though, because they only cost a few thousand studs total. No ghost characters yet. I don't even know if I have them unlocked yet. I held 2,000,000 studs at once, which allowed me to purchase the 2x stud multiplier. Haven't held 6,000,000 yet, obviously. Haven't done the other couple of bonus levels yet. Just haven't gotten around to it. Haven't purchased everything or had 4,000,000,000 studs. So still got a ways to go on a lot of that. The 4,000,000,000 studs will probably be the last trophy in this version. So yeah, some progress is being made. I'm like over 50% of the way through the game in terms of completion percentage. But I didn't really get as much of a chance to play this week because, for one, I've been working on some guide stuff. Not just a supplementary guide with LEGO Star Wars 2, but also the guide that I've been working on with another person for Black Ops 3 for Realistic and Personal Decorator. But also started on a guide for a little something called I Have No Mouth and I Must Trophy. Except that it's actually called I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Anyway, so for those who don't know what this game is, it is a 1995 point-and-click adventure game that's based off of a 1960s or 70s short story by Harlan Ellison. It's one of the strangest, weirdest, most disturbing short stories I've ever listened to, because I listened to the audio version of it. which is actually hilarious because Ellison, the author, actually narrates the entire book, which is, short story, which it's pretty quick. It's like a 40-minute listen, so it's definitely worth listening to. And he does the voices maybe a little bit too psychotically well. The surprising thing about this, though, is that I did stream the entirety of the playthrough. It only took 2 streams because it's not a super long game. And I actually did manage to get the best ending, which is really, really surprising. Yes, I was following a guide for probably like 80% of the actual character chapters, but not the entirety of them. And then I also did not follow a guide at all for the final confrontation, aside from knowing who to play as. And somehow I managed to figure out the final area of the game and actually get the best ending, which I'm very surprised that I was able to figure that part out. But I will say that without a guide, this game has some pretty weird, puzzles and stuff. It's one of those games where, there's obviously no hint system or anything like that, but it's one of those games where it goes to such great lengths to distract you. There's, full-blown little side quests and extra items that you can collect and complete that have nothing to do with actually getting through the story or even changing your spirit barometer, which is sort of, I guess you could say, almost like a life system for when you get to the final level of the game. Because in the final level of the game, you get more attempts with each character if you have a reasonably high spirit meter. And to get that spirit meter up, you just have to do, generally good actions or actions that go against the character's fatal flaws throughout the game. It's a really, really weird game, but it's very much worth playing just to even experience it. But the great thing is the Platinum Trophy is actually really, really easy and can be done very quickly, which we'll get to that in a second. So the game actually doesn't even require you to beat it. You don't even have to beat all of the scenarios. In fact, you really don't have to beat any of the scenarios to get the Platinum, which is really surprising. It makes it super quick and easy. So you have 3 trophies for each of the 4 characters, except for Nimdok, for rather obvious reasons if you've played through the game before. So Gorster they actually go from left to right on here, so Gorster is the first character that you play as if you go from left to right. His scenario is probably the longest out of all of them, except maybe Ted's scenario. And you get 1 trophy just for starting as him. Then wiping the blood of the animals, you have to pick up the bloody key in the engine room. And then you have to go wipe your hands in the adjacent dining room on a tablecloth in there. And then his heart, getting this is actually an unmissable story-related trophy. You'll get this when you go out on the plane wing, because you do have to have the heart to be able to beat the rest of the level. And again, stuff like this, you can already probably tell that this game is quite odd, very, very bizarre at times. But actually was pretty fun to play through and try to figure out some of the puzzles on. But eventually I just got lost and gave up on trying to figure it out myself on most of these chapters, except for that finale. So that's that. Then Ellen is the second character you play as. With her 2 trophies you can get really, really easily. All you have to do is try to drink water from the fountain that you go to, right when you start her chapter. And then the secret passage is something that you have to do just to even progress the story, so that's unmissable. Then with Benny, the communicating with the boy, I believe, is unmissable and story-related. I think it is, because I think you have to do that to be able to progress past the first day, but I could be wrong on that. Trying to eat the fruit or any other food is very, very easy, though, just because, that's his main character trait, is that he's hungry. So literally just try to eat any piece of fruit that you pick up and you'll get this trophy done. And then finally Ted, who, like I said, also has a somewhat longer scenario. So with him, I think that his is the only one where both trophies are technically... Well, no, I think that Waking Ellen Up might also be an unmissable story trophy, but I'm not entirely sure about that. And then this one you definitely can miss, despite it being the only silver trophy in the game. You have to choose very specific dialogue options with a certain character to make this one happen. But with a guide, you can get this Platinum Trophy within half an hour if you know what you're doing. So it's very, very quick. It's quite easy with a guide. If you're not using a guide... you might have a bad time with this one just because it's going to take a while to figure out some of the puzzles and stuff. And good luck trying to get the best ending without a guide, because it's probably not going to happen. I'm just going to say that right there. It's probably not going to happen if you try to do that. because the best ending requires you to do a lot of specific stuff toward the end of the game. And then also within the chapters, you have to get those spirit meters up a certain degree. They don't have to get all the way perfect, but they do have to go up quite a bit. So just keep all that in mind. And then if you really want to know about getting the best possible ending, you want to play as Nimdok in the finale, and you want to make sure that you had him as high of a spirit meter as possible. He's, of course, the one character that doesn't have any trophies tied to him for, again, reasons that are quite obvious if you have played this game before, and completely reasonable as to why they wouldn't have put trophies in for it, but thankfully they didn't, exclude the chapter like they did in some versions of the game in the past. So yeah, very interesting game to stream over the weekend. Actually enjoyed this one a lot because it's been a while since I played a good, this type of point-and-click game. Probably Clock Tower was the last one. And I do hope we get some more point-and-click games because I do enjoy them. I used to play them a lot when I was younger. Then we have the PS4 version of the game. So the PS4 version, I decided to try and speedrun. Now, I was not expecting to get Fastest Achiever, and I did not get Fastest Achiever. As far as I'm aware, I'm currently in second place. But that being said, I did complete the Platinum Trophy in under 20 minutes. As you can see here, it only took about 17 minutes, and I definitely could have cut out at least a little bit more time here and there. So I got Gorster's trophies pretty quickly, but his chapter does take a little bit longer just to get the trophies. Ellen, I screwed around a little bit too much with this one. I thought that you had to actually get the goblet to do this one, but apparently just sticking your hands in the water and trying to drink is enough, so I could have done this one a couple minutes faster. With Benny, I don't think I could have sped his up very much, but with Ted, I forgot to fully wake up Ellen, which made it a little bit harder to talk to the maiden, which meant I didn't do this one quite as fast. So I definitely could have cut my time down at least a little bit, but I just still would have missed out on that fastest time by a little bit. Because I think the fastest time is 9 minutes something on the PS4 and about 10 minutes on the PS5. You could definitely do it in 13 minutes. I'm trying to think of exactly how you could cut out enough time to do it in 10, but I'm sure there's a way to. So yeah, had a lot of fun with this game. Would definitely recommend playing it. It's definitely worth picking up, especially if you're a fan of point-and-click games, especially obscure old ones and disturbing games. If you're just going for the Platinum Trophy, I'd recommend waiting until it drops a bit in price, because it's $10 right now, which is totally reasonable for if you want to actually play through it. But if you're just looking for that quick, easy Platinum, you're probably better off waiting. And finally, Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves. We have continued working on this game by completing episodes 3 and 4 during the past week. Have not done all the Master Thief challenges yet because you can't do all of them until you finish some stuff in episode 5 when you get access to the treasure maps. So currently, the first 4 episodes are completely done aside from the Master Thief challenges. And then we just have probably about half of episode 5 left in terms of story and the Master Thief challenges, and then episode 6, of course. And then, of course, you have several miscellaneous trophies in each area of the game. This one you can't do until you get to Area 5. There's 3 different disguises in the game that you have to use. The 2 that are not related to this area of the game, you can just equip them and walk in front of a guard and let them attack you, and those will count. For the one that is a piece of equipment in that first area, the guard outfit in the first area, you have to equip it and then fail the little QuickTime event to pass through it. So just fail the QuickTime event there and you're good. And then had everything done in Area 2. And then in Episode 3, dropping a plane on the guard is actually quite easy. For this one, just lure one underneath one of the planes over by the hangars and just knock it down with the switch nearby. Then we get to Episode 4, which again has 3 miscellaneous trophies. This one was a little bit annoying. I ended up doing it with the ball, the Murray ball form. I don't know if that was the intended way to do it or even the best way, but it was a little bit annoying, but it wasn't too difficult. Then this one is like a defensive type mission where you're just defending Murray for a while. I think this is the one where he's pulling the van along or something, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong on that. Either way, this one wasn't too hard. I got through it with no real problems. And then you have this one, which is definitely one of the hardest miscellaneous trophies in the game, because General Tsao is, from what I remember, one of, if not maybe the hardest boss in Sly 3. His first phase is more sort of janky than it is actually difficult. It's that one where you're going across when you're floating in the air as you jump across the spikes and stuff. It's not terrible once you sort of get used to it. The second phase is a lot worse though, just because He can keep calling in those hand attacks along with those like mask attacks and stuff. This would have been a lot harder without the rewind feature. Let's just say it that way. Thankfully, though, there is the rewind feature, which made it reasonably simple to get through. Then we get off to episode 5, and I have knocked out one of the 3 miscellaneous trophies here. Dimitri's trophy is fairly easy. I ended up getting this one sort of by accident, just by exploring. You might want to just look at like a guide of exactly where the chests are. I think there's more than 4, though. This one, we haven't actually played the job yet. And this one, I think, requires you to just keep destroying pirate ships, which we're going to be doing to make money anyway, because it's by far the best way to make money. And people in chat seemed cool with the idea that I might end up grinding a little bit of money off screen, just so I can start being able to afford everything, because it takes a while and it's not going to unlock any other trophies or be all that interesting otherwise. So I may end up doing that, so just, keep that in mind with this. Then removing 30 cobwebs should be fairly easy during the final area. This one I'm assuming is area specific. Complete the final, I think this is the final level of the game without taking damage. This one, we've already defeated guards, of course, with the bouncing power-up, so the ball power-up, but I don't know about the other ones. The drop a bomb in 5 pockets, I don't think I have the ability yet. Sly's trophy's done. Pickpocket loot excluding coins. I've done this with now Sly and Bentley, but I don't have Murray's ability yet for it, I don't believe. And then obtaining all the power-ups means purchasing everything from ThiefNet. There's a lot more power-ups, and they're a lot more expensive. Either that or money's just harder to come by in this game, so this one is going to take a little bit longer. It's why I'm going to spend at least a little bit of time just farming coins in the pirate area. And then finally view the gallery for all episodes. You can do this once you finish the episode, the story of it, and then just view the gallery, and that's how you'll knock that one out. So yeah, good progress is being made. Maybe no more than 3 more streams to finish this game, I would think. Yeah, probably 3 more streams total to finish this one. Maybe 2 of the final areas shorter than I remember, but I would say 2 to 3 really is realistic. So, with that, let's go ahead and sync up our trophies. So, with that, level 892, 14%, 30,085 total trophies. 863 platinums, 5,754 golds, 8,095 silvers, 15,373 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. So this week, obviously, we're going to continue working on LEGO Star Wars when I have time, and Sly 3 on streams, though I probably need to make a little bit of time in order to platinum the glorious remake of My Name is Mayonnaise. Aside from those, I'm continuing to do some work on that guide with Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and got a few more things to write for Having a Mouth and I Must Scream. It's not actually a trophy guide, it's technically it's technically a walkthrough, so it should be fine if I take a little bit longer on that. And then aside from all of that, there's not a whole lot more going on. I was pretty busy last week, so I didn't really get a whole lot of chances to work on I didn't get a whole lot of chances to work on the video for LEGO Star Wars 2, but I'm definitely going to make that a priority this week. I've just been super busy these last couple days. Had to work a little bit later a couple of times, just from a lot of stuff happening there. So, yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with all of that, but probably going to be a pretty normal schedule this week, so something like Thursday, some combination of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would say at least 3 of those days will get streams, and I can have some time to work on the LEGO Star Wars video along with that. So that is really about it for this week. I can't think of anything else to talk about at this point in time. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already. Let me know down in the comments what you guys worked on this past week, what kind of progress you made, and I will see y'all back here in a couple of days for our next stream and some more trophy content.